Hi, I'm Trevor from TrevorDumbleton.com, and today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of using ready-made websites. Now, on the surface, just the initial reaction is ready-made websites sound like a good idea to get your internet marketing off to a quick start. But as with everything, it's not quite what it seems on the surface. It's a bit like an iceberg, really. And there are various types of ready-made website, and each of them has its own plus and minus points. Some people offer complete sites including the written content, but that's not a route I'd advise you to go down unless the content's been specifically written for your site and your site alone. There are just way too many snags with trying to overlay your voice and style onto pre-written content, or even just get it indexed, because there's sites on eBay. I looked at one, there's 47 for under $4. Right, they're going to be really top quality. There was another one that you might think, okay, more so it's $111 for that, but it's been sold many times over, and there's negatives with doing that. Way too many negatives to make it worth even thinking about. So instead, what I'm going to concentrate on is things like WordPress and other similar CMS, that stands for Content Management System if you really wanted to know. Programs such as Joomla, Drupal, Magento, all sorts of different ones, and they're all complete website content management systems. And main focus here is going to be WordPress, because partly that's what everyone uses and partly that's what I know. But they all handle all the behind-the-scenes functionality, and they allow you to control pretty much every aspect of your website without needing to know the really gory technical details that make everything work. Kind of stuff that, yeah, personally I do know because I've had to, but in practice I still use WordPress now because it just gets rid of all the hassle of doing that. And using WordPress is a really popular solution. It's reckoned that roughly 1 in every 6 new websites use it, and it works well. And okay, there's a drawback here in that any popular system attracts hackers. WordPress is absolutely no exception. Windows attracts them, Apple's now they're more popular, attract them. Mobile phones do. But as long as you keep your version of WordPress up to date, there's very, very little risk of anything adverse happening, mainly because the updates are done to get rid of any security bugs and things like that as they get found. Much the same way as the operating system on your computer and your phone are regularly updated, so the nastier elements of society are kept out of harm's way. And that happens with WordPress. Recently they've actually taken to automatically updating the main core WordPress program for you fairly soon after each release comes out. It seems to be slightly staggered, but it happens within a day or 2 or 3 of a new version. All that happens is you get an email saying it's been updated again. Okay. It'd be very nice if that happened with the plugins and the themes, but currently that doesn't happen. My guess is it's definitely in the developer's back of mind to get incorporated, but they've only recently done the main thing, so it might take a little while before that happens. So you need to go in and update those regularly as well, because again, that's typically done to get rid of any security exploits that the nastier people just enjoy using. Don't know why. But the big pro of using a system such as WordPress is that all the technical stuff is done without you needing to know what to do or how to do it. You don't need to know, if you use the one-click install, you don't need to know how to create a database, how to assign a user to it, how to give it permissions, how to set up all the tables, anything like that. It's all done. And that's a really, really, really big plus point. Flip side of that is if you want your site to do something very, very specific that isn't handled by one of hundreds, thousands, heaven only knows how many plugins there are for WordPress, you just might need to pay someone to develop that for you. That's really quite rare. I'm just in the process with a friend of getting that done for a site we wanted developed, but we could have worked around something, but we prefer to go our own route. But it's rare. Really, really rare. And next thing that's often quoted, a lot of people are negative about WordPress because so many other people are using the same design, and I don't agree with that. I personally use one of the built-in design templates. They're called Themes, and I get asked which theme I'm using, so that means most people don't know. It's only developers that know these kind of things. But you can change the look and feel at the click of a mouse to another free design or a paid for design. There's hundreds that you can search for within WordPress, or you can go to a site like Theme Forest and get overwhelmed by the selection. There are thousands upon thousands there. And incidentally, if you're going to do that, use wisdom of the crowds. Don't worry about lots of others. Sort them by the number of downloads. That means other people have done all the thinking for you. Cheating, but it works. And in theory, using a ready-made design runs the risk that another website in your niche will be using exactly the same design as you, but in practice, because there are just so many themes available, the likelihood of that happening is pretty low. And the likelihood of someone finding the two sites in the search, you at position 1, them at position 2, or vice versa, whatever it happens to be, using identical themes is even lower. And the chance of them noticing or caring is lower still. And as I said, in practice, even though one of my main website uses one of the built-in themes from WordPress, I often get asked which theme I'm using because people like it. So a lot of time and effort goes into built-in themes, so don't rule them out just because they're built in. So to all intents and purposes, you can use the built-in themes, or one that you can download, or one that you can buy, as being as close to unique as you're likely to want, without having to pay hundreds, thousands, maybe more for your own custom design theme. The only thing I'd suggest maybe you consider is getting a header image created to make the site look unique. And you can go to a site like Fiverr, fiverr.com, or one of the freelance sites like freelancer.com if you want to spend slightly more money, and maybe not, my experience varies, get a better design. And the trick with getting a good header image for your website is to walk, it's a tightrope walk. You don't want to give the designer so little room for manoeuvre that you could have done it yourself, because they won't actually do as good a job as if you give them enough rope to come up with a good design. And what I tend to do is give them enough rope, not to hang themselves, because they actually do generally a very good design. I'll give them quite a broad scope. I might give them colours. I'll definitely give them the wording, if there's wording going on it. And if there's an image I really want used, I had one designed for a podcast recently, and that was, yeah, here's my photo. They changed it. I'm still there. I'm not photoshopped. I don't look whatever. But the background got changed. All those sort of things, and that was just giving them free rein to come up with a good design. And what I'll often do with Fiverr is use 2 or 3 if I'm not confident that the first one's going to come up, or I might, if the first one doesn't come up with the goods, then I'll use another 2 or 3 gigs, because at $5 a time you can do that, and it's still cheaper than a freelance site, and you're still well within budget. And as I said, taking the time to customize even just the main header image on a ready-made website can, and almost 99.9% of the time is, enough to make you stand out from the crowd. And then after that, it's like any other website. The most important thing is regularly creating content for it and promoting it. And it doesn't matter whether you've built your website for free using WordPress and the free themes and the free plugins, or if you spent tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands on it. Ultimately, it's what you put on the website. Google looks at the website, but it's a computer looking at it. It looks at the behind the scenes code, and it says, right, that's text about that, that's how I'm going to rank it. It doesn't rank it on how nice or ugly it looks. Otherwise the main Google site would look nicer. Things like Wikipedia would look a lot prettier than it currently does. Amazon doesn't exactly look, it wouldn't win a beauty contest on websites, but it works. It's the content. So whether you've got a ready-made website or one that's just out of the box, pretty much not very much done to it at all, it's the content and the promotion. Promotion with videos, audios, articles, anything and everything to promote it as well. And spend, good rule of thumb is 50-50. About half the time on content on your own site, half the time on content elsewhere promoting it, and that seems to work quite well. So that's it. If you'd like to know more, go to my website, trevordumbleton.com, and thanks for joining me.